Welcome to Zero Waste Asia Newsroom. I'm Sonia Astudillo, Senior Communications Officer for GAIA Asia Pacific, coming to you from Ottawa, Canada. We're here to bring you the latest updates on the first day of the fourth session of the Global Plastics Treaty negotiation. Joining me is Arpita Bhagat, GAIA Asia Pacific's Plastic Policy Officer, who will share insights into the first day of INC-4. Hi, Arpita.
Hi everyone. Bonjour.
So, Arpita, why is the primary plastic polymer an important issue in this negotiation?
Yes, thank you for that question. I think this is the most important question. So we know that we need to cut production at the very beginning. And when we say cut production, we need to cut production of primary plastics. And that would be important to meet the 1.5 degrees climate targets. If we look at the latest study from Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, it says that plastic production already contributes to 5.3% of global emissions. And if we continue at the rate of production that we are continuing with, we're seeing as projection in a business as usual scenario, then we will have by 2050, the emissions per year from just the plastic production. And when I say production, it means extraction, mining, and these are pre-polymerization stage of the plastic life cycle, alone already contributing to 75% of the total carbon contribution from the plastic life cycle. So it's important to realize this is going to be key. And if we continue as usual, as I was saying, then the emissions would grow at the rate of 12 to 17% starting this year from plastic production alone. So, well, plastic production cuts is critical to meet our carbon budget. Plastic polymer production cuts is absolutely critical if we are to have a successful treaty, because without that, we will again, if we continue producing, there is absolutely no point of having an international agreement. And we need global targets which are agreed. So we need to have a high common minimum standard, not the lowest common denominator that the countries would mention often who don't want production cuts. And it needs to be binding so that we are all on the same path and we can see a future which is free of this toxic material, and not just and we can't say we just want to phase out hazardous products, because industry would love to do that. And if we save hazardous products, it will come up with more newer versions of those products. So we really need to, cut the cord at the very beginning, close the tap as it is for polymers itself, which is the material that makes up the products, not the products, because by then it's already too late. So I would urge people to look at this new study, and GAIA has prepared a policy brief based on that, that folks can take use of. And we know that this particular fight for a strong treaty is really the fight for primary plastic polymers to be a very important mandatory core obligation in this treaty. And that is going to be the key fight for this INC.
Okay, so what actions does the treaty or the revised zero drop propose to prevent primary plastic polymers from entering our ocean and ensure that producers are responsible for managing their waste?
That question is a little bit on both sides. Revised zero draft has everything right now, including some member states' proposals of removing that particular option. So that's at the topmost null option or option 0 in the current revised draft. There's also the option from the last draft, that is the zero draft still intact, which is option 1, which asks for global targets. The hope is to ensure that we push that option forward. So global targets, global reduction pathway by a certain timeline, hopefully, and whatever exemptions that are given to developing countries are limited to a provision on exemptions, and it is not about sort of their agreement on reduction itself, but on the timeline of how, of course, developed countries who've been producing so much more phase out the production first, and then we have developing countries follow. So it's pretty much the same model that is followed in the climate negotiations, where you have developed countries committing to a net zero target, which is sooner than the developing countries, because on the grounds of they have their development needs still going on. So that's what it looks like right now, and um, the it is going to be interesting this time around to see what kind of technical expertise that is brought in by the oil producing countries to combat, to kind of stand for their false narratives. One of the key arguments is the economics of it. Like I said, the development and poverty alleviation, all those sustainable development goals, all those arguments that we hear. So GAIA hopefully would also have resources to deal with that very soon, to demonstrate that actually production cuts are in favor of our economic growth. And it's the same thing that happened in the climate space when we moved away from fossil fuels to renewable energy. We reached a point where solar became actually more at cost parity with the thermal power plant based energy. So we are going to argue for that, to push forward reuse systems, refill systems, and also I think demonstrate that how just transition is not only needed, but it is feasible. So we are also preparing to fight those economic arguments this time around, hopefully. Sonia?
So on the first day of INC-4, were there any members event that will mark the opening of INC?
Well, it looks like civil society came prepared to do everything they could possibly do for this INC. There are a lot of actions happening every day. There are a lot of events happening every day where members are standing up, making very strong statements. We had our members from Asia Pacific make strong statements in the Asian Focus event yesterday, and today we have so right opposite Shaw Center, we have the setup of the tap installation, the tap overflowing with plastics. It was also set up in Paris. We have a similar setup here. You might have seen the pictures already. They're everywhere on social media. So folks are standing outside in front of the tap and demonstrating the demand for production cuts to eliminate toxins and many other things. And interestingly, this morning we also had another action which I love to participate in, where we distributed cookies, which basically had display of credit card on the outside, but yummy cookies. And it came with the pamphlet messaging of how plastics, and especially microplastics, impact our health, because we are consuming a credit card worthy of microplastics every week, and it's in our bodies. And we had some very interesting reactions from some member states refusing to even accept those cookies, but some showing curiosity, some asking questions, where is the evidence, and things like that. And some basically saying that, I don't eat any more cookies because I'm watching my weight and things like that. So a lot of interesting responses. I think overall we got the feeling of it was very interesting way to make the demand that we did. Overall it was better received than I expected. So all of us expected, and it continued throughout the day. I participated in the morning. And I think we had 1,000 cookies to give away. So I think it's been really fun and really interesting way to make our voices heard. And I think our members, our community are trying very, very hard to make their voices heard. And we hope that also continues. There's also the Just Transition event that happened where it is organized by International Alliance of Waste Pickers to talk about just transition and their demands on just transition, and how it needs to be defined, how waste pickers need to be defined, and how just transition cannot be limited only to a provision on just transition, but it needs to show up as across the text to essentially encompass what that transition looks like, right? Especially with respect to financial support, with respect to technical support, with respect to capacity building, with respect to ensuring that the current informal chains, especially for Asia, who are the backbone of our recycling economy, are included in that transition, are integrated in that transition. And that's something that we are also fighting with the extended producer responsibility regulation that is coming out in so many countries in Asia and the Pacific region. So these are the kind of things that we are looking forward to. I know from Asia Pacific, there was a lot of interest. There is a lot of support from member states for just transition. Also from, Inger Anderson, who is the head of UNEP. But it remains to be seen that how it actually comes out and how it's defined. Does it actually mean what we want it to mean? That all is up for conversation, and we'll see how it goes.
I hope those who rejected the plastic cookie would translate that to rejecting plastic. I also heard there's an event with the gold dusted cake, so we hope to get photo of that and share that in social media. So what happened on the first day of INC? How's the contact groups? How's the opening program?
Usually, what we have seen in the past INC is that the first day, the plenary takes most of the time. The tentative schedule says that there will be contact groups opening a little in the second half, post-lunch. But like I said, it depends on plenary ending on time, member states accepting the proposal, the approach of the new chair, Ambassador Reyes of Ecuador. And that's all I can say. But hopefully today is going to end sooner than the next few days.
That's the hope. So thank you so much, Arpita. See you again tomorrow for our next round of updates. That's all for now, but we will continue to follow the developments and bring you the latest news and updates from GAIA Asia Pacific members and other civil society organizations. Once again, follow us on our social media platform, Zero Waste Asia on Instagram and YouTube, and GAIA Asia Pacific on Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you and have